Yeah, good evening, good afternoon. Babu Vlogs here, just reacting on some of the news that I read actually today in the morning from one of the news sources, or it's a national newspaper that I like, reading. It has English version of it in Finland, and this was about Somalia. I remember Somalia is our neighboring country in Kenya. I'm from Kenya, so it's our name. They are our neighbors, and it has been in a long-term shambles since I think 90s. A lot of war, and the acts of terrorism, the internal unrest, and that has left the country in very bad shape, and actually, made a lot of people run away from the country. And yeah, we have a lot of communities from Somalia who live in Finland as well as other, European countries, African countries. It's a name in Kenya, we actually they are Somalis who are Kenyan natives or born, and Somalis from Somalia, but most likely friends and their families, or they have the kind of root because it's a neighboring country, and this boundaries thing came to place where when Africa was one thing, so they are just one and same people. But yeah, the news was about this one minister who was, giving his views, and its development minister. I think I won't mention names, but he said that development cooperation and aid to Somalia is conditional on concrete progress in forced repatriations. According to this source, he was demanding that Somalia accepts at least 100 people to be deported from Finland to Somalia. And I think those people were connected to the kind of criminal acts. They are not really specified what crimes they committed, but that's what at least I read. The Foreign Trade and Development, confirmed at meeting of Finnish ambassadors on Monday that development cooperation with Somalia will remain suspended. He said this was because there has not been hoped for progress on returning Somalia acceptance of its own citizens who have been ordered to leave Finland. I think, and this is, I quote what he was saying, I think it is fair that an administration that does not welcome its citizens does not receive development funding either. So he said. And I think this has been a concern for him as a minister. And, when the minister speaks, they can speak at a level of personal views or ministerial views or the views of the executive. So that's what I view from the story. So Finland suspended its Somali country program last November. At the time, set as condition that concrete progress must be made in admission cooperation with Somalia. However, it did not specify what kind of progress would be sufficient. According to information obtained by this, this news room, the minister proposed that a condition for development aid would be return of at least 100 Somalis to Somalia. So my question remained like, at what point did he feel, or the ministry felt, that the aid that has been given would be tied to this funding, and what actually that funding does? Is it money given, or what form of aid it is? There were no forced returns from Finland to Somalia for almost 3 years, beginning in 2021, I think, because those were the years when it was Corona time, and they have gradually resumed since end of last year. So far this year, Finnish police have returned 11 Somalis to their native country. 3 of them returned voluntarily. So I think most of people are those tied to crimes. I don't know what forms of crimes, but also my concern and what I thought I could highlight is, if someone has been involved in a criminal, offense, is it responsibility or more responsible for the authorities here in Finland to take those people for, discipline institutions where they can change for them better? Or is it just reasonable to kick them out of the country, and in this case take them to their home country, where probably they would continue doing the same atrocities to their country or country people? So that's what my concern. And the story continues. The National Police Board was unable to provide precise information on how many Somali citizens are waiting to be returned, but there is a rough estimate 100 to 200 people. And he also says most deportees have committed crimes. So, as I explained, the principle of condition for development aids is included in the four-party government program approved just over 2 years ago. However, it is unusual for the minister responsible for development cooperation to present strict positions on issue of return, which falls under the jurisdiction of the Interior Ministry. And that was my concern, as I said it earlier, that this is the minister who seems to be acting on behalf of another ministry, which is Ministry of Defense or Interior. And the story continues. The Finnish Immigration Services, MIGRI, has issued 128 deportation decisions to Somalia citizens this year. However, some may be eligible to reapply for new resident permits. So this deportation thing is not purely tied to crimes. It's a normal process. If the Minister of Immigration feels like someone has applied for resident permit or for alien and they don't fit to that category, in many countries, there are people or government is entitled to return people to their country safely. Yeah, but it seems like there were partly people who are involved in some crimes, but instead of government disciplining them to be responsible, people, they ought to return them to their country. So that's where my my concern and highlight came in. Most of these returned this year have been convicted criminals, a crime with a maximum penalty of at least a year prison or repeated less crimes is sufficient for deportation. Another common reason for returns is negative asylum decision. So that goes. But I'm trying to avoid mentioning the minister's names or something like that. And here the story continues. Finland's decision to suspend the country program has been in the news in Somalia, including speculations that the Finns party was exploiting the issue for political purposes ahead of the last elections. Yeah, so I think it seems like it has been active political issues connecting both countries. From my observations, there has been people who are really Finnish citizens from Somalia and active in politics. So there's this push and pull, politically, internally. But I think from my view, if someone commits a crime, for a government, to do justice to those people would be to be, taken through the process and discipline measures as other citizens, because that helps and gives conscience to those who have done the crime, even if in future they go to their country not to take that, criminality kind of situation to their country and to their countrymen and women. So that's my view for now, and you can comment and say what do you think about the issue.